You know the name Adolf Eichmann, you know Budapest, you know 430,000 people on trains. But who signed the orders in Hungary? Who wore the suit and sat in the Prime Minister's office while cattle cars rolled? Döme Sztójay. Born Dmitrie Stojakovic in 1883 in Vršac, a Serb town that today sits in Serbia. Changed his name to sound Hungarian in 1927, climbed the ladder, became a general, became Miklos Horthy's spy chief. Then became Hungary's ambassador to Berlin in 1935. 9 years in Berlin, 9 years shaking hands with SS officers and nodding at Hitler's table. And in March 1944, when Germany needed a puppet in Budapest, Sztójay got the call. That morning, Wehrmacht troops crossed from Austria into Hungary. Operation Margaret. 11 German divisions roll in without firing a shot. Why? Because Regent Horthy is sitting in Klesheim Castle near Salzburg, trapped in a meeting with Hitler while his country gets swallowed. Prime Minister Miklos Kali had been trying to cut a peace deal with the Allies. Hitler knew. Laszlo Veres, a ministry employee, signed a secret surrender agreement on September 9, 1943. Unauthorized, messy, but Berlin heard about it. So Hitler invited Horthy to Austria on March 15th. Opera. Urgent message. Train to Klesheim. Horthy arrives March 18th. Talks drag. Meanwhile, tanks move. When Horthy boards his train home, German soldiers wait for him at Budapest station. The deal is simple. Pick a prime minister who cooperates, or we install a Gauleiter and Hungary becomes Poland. Horthy picks Sztójay. March 23, 1944, Döme Sztójay becomes prime minister and foreign minister. A man who spent a decade in Berlin, who called himself Hungary's foremost anti-Semite in 1942. Horthy thought a soldier would resist German pressure. He was wrong. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. The script is researched and factual, using sources from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum collection, documenting the Budapest People's Tribunal, specifically the trial transcripts and photographic evidence held in their archives under the Herbert C. Kaplan collection donated in 1996 and cross-referenced with Raoul Hilberg's The Destruction of the European Jews, published by Holmes and Meyer in 1985, and Randolph Bram's The Politics of Genocide, the 2-volume definitive study published by Columbia University. Press in 1994 and updated with archival access in 2000. We also drew from the European Holocaust Research Infrastructure database of Budapest People's Court Records, Reels 112 through 216, covering 1946 trials. Now back to the information. 20 days after Sztójay takes office, the machinery starts. March 29th, Hungarian Information Service announces new anti-Jewish laws. March 31st, decree. All Jews must wear the yellow star. Signed by Sztójay. April 5th, Jews in rural Hungary ordered into ghettos. Regional towns become concentration points. Hungarian gendarmes, not Germans, round them up. April 13th, Sztójay meets Edmund Wesenmeyer, the German plenipotentiary. They agree Hungary will hand over at least 50,000 Jewish workers by month's end. They expand forced labor battalions from 100,000 to 150,000 men, aged 36 to 48. 4 trains per day, 12,000 people daily. Start mid-May, finish with the countryside, then take Budapest. Rudolf Höss, first commandant of Auschwitz, returns to the camp on May 8, 1944. His job is to oversee the Hungarian operation. They call it Action Höss. May 15, 1944. First deportation train leaves from the Hungarian countryside. Target destination, Auschwitz-Birkenau. By July 9th, 147 trains. Between 420,000 and 437,000 people. The numbers vary by source. Laszlo Ferenczi of the Hungarian Royal Gendarmerie reports 434,351 Jews deported. Edmund Wesenmeyer reports 437,402. Rail transport documents analyzed by the Auschwitz Museum Research Center in 2014 confirm approximately 420,000 during the main phase, plus smaller transports in late summer and autumn, plus 3,800 from Kistarksa and Topolia in April. Total 430,000. The Auschwitz album, photographed by SS men on May 26, 1944, shows one transport. Hungarian Jews from Carpathian Ruthenia. 3,500 people in that single train. Women, children, elderly. Lined up, selected. The photos survive because Lily Jacob, an Auschwitz survivor, found the album in a barracks at Mittelbau Dora after liberation. Those images document what Sztójay enabled. That is 7,142 people per day. 297 per hour, 5 every minute. The speed is what Holocaust scholars call unprecedented. Germany is losing the war. Resources are needed on collapsing fronts. Yet Eichmann diverts trains, guards, and logistics to Hungary, Why the rush? Because the window is closing, because even puppet governments can wobble. The Verba-Wetzler report reaches the Allies in June. 2 Auschwitz escapees, Rudolf Verba and Alfred Wetzler, dictate their account to the Slovakian Jewish Council in April. Detailed descriptions of gas chambers, cremation capacity, the numbers. Pope Pius sends messages. Sweden protests. The United States threatens. Horthy has enough leverage left to act. July 7th, 1944. Horthy orders deportations to halt. Eichmann ignores him for 2 days. Trains keep rolling until July 9th. March 23 to August 24th, 1944. In that window, he legalized Ferenc Szalasi's Arrow Cross Party, dissolved labor unions, jailed opposition politicians, sent more Hungarian troops to the Eastern Front, and oversaw the fastest mass murder operation in Holocaust history. When Romania breaks from the Axis on August 23rd, conservative forces in Hungary push Sztójay out. He resigns August 24th. Geza Lakatos becomes prime minister. Sztójay, exhausted and in poor health, fades from the cabinet. Ferenc Szalasi and the Arrow Cross take full control. Sztójay stays in Budapest but holds no position. His moment is over. 80,000 murdered in the city. Sztójay flees west with the retreating Germans. Crosses into Germany in April 1945 as the Reich collapses. He does not surrender to the Soviets. He finds American troops instead, calculates that the West might need him. Might trade information for leniency. He has no information worth trading. Nothing the Americans want. October 1945, the United States extradites him to Hungary. The tribunal system starts work in 1945. By early 1946, they have processed dozens of cases. Former ministers, gendarme officers, Arrow Cross leaders. The tribunal in Budapest handles the highest profile defendants. Sztójay's trial begins. Last major trial for the Budapest People's Tribunal. He stands accused with 4 co-defendants, Antal Kunder, Generatz, Lajos Reményi Schneller, who served as finance minister from 1938 to 1945 and funneled Hungary's economy to Germany. Lajos Sas. All 5 men are charged with sacrificing Hungary's interests by collaborating with the Third Reich and enabling the destruction of Hungarian Jewry. The trial is public, open sessions. Witnesses testify, documents enter the record, photographs of deportation trains, lists of confiscated property, testimony from survivors who saw gendarmes loading families into cattle cars, testimony from Hungarian officials who took orders from Wiesenmeier and Eichmann. March 29th laws announced, March 31st Yellow Star Decree, April ghettoization, May deportations begin. July halt, 430,000 people, 325,000 dead. Sztójay does not deny signing the decrees. He argues he had no choice. Germany occupied Hungary. Wiesenmeier watched everything. Eichmann controlled the logistics. Horthy pressured him to cooperate to avoid worse outcomes. The tribunal hears the argument, considers it, rejects it. Crimes against the Hungarian people. All 5 defendants convicted. Sentence? Death. By firing squad. The courtroom in Budapest holds the weight of 400,000 ghosts. Sztójay, 63 years old, shows no visible reaction. The guards take him back to his cell. Between the verdict and execution, a few days pass. Standard procedure. Sztójay has no appeal that will be heard, no reprieve, no commutation. The People's Tribunal's decisions are final. The new Hungarian government wants accountability, wants to show collaboration has consequences. 25 high officials will be executed by the tribunal in 1946 alone. Former prime ministers, Arrow Cross leaders, gendarme officers responsible for the Bačka massacres. Now, prisoner number whatever they assigned him, he has time to think about Versek, about Berlin, about Klesheim, about the Majestic Hotel, about trains. Or maybe he thinks about nothing. Some men go blank when the end approaches. Soldiers come for him, 5 men total. Sztójay and his 4 co-defendants. They are taken to the courtyard of the Academy of Music in Budapest. Not a prison. A cultural building repurposed. The courtyard is enclosed, walls on all sides. A small space. The firing squad waits. Hungarian soldiers. Not Soviet, not American. Hungarian. Men who may have lost family in the siege, who may have known someone on those trains, or men who are just following orders as soldiers do. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum holds an image from that morning. Hungarian soldiers preparing Döme Sztójay for execution. He wears a suit, dark, neat. His face is tired. Old, a man who spent 63 years getting to this courtyard. A man who spent 5 months enabling industrial murder. Their bodies are not returned to families immediately. Standard procedure for executed war criminals. Eventually buried, unmarked or poorly marked graves, no memorials, no flowers. Because he sat in the Prime Minister's office while 430,000 people were loaded onto trains. Because he signed the Yellow Star Decree on March 31st, 1944. Because he met with Wiesenmeier on April 13th and agreed to quotas. Because he had the power to slow it down and did not. Because he chose to serve a regime that ran gas chambers 24 hours a day to keep up with the trains he authorized. Some argue Horthy appointed him to avoid worse outcomes. Possibly true. But the order still needed a signature. Hungarian gendarmes still needed authorization. The trains still needed approval to roll. Sztójay gave that. For 5 months, he gave that. And 430,000 people paid with their lives. The outcome was pits dug because crematoria could not keep pace. The outcome was the fastest extermination in the Holocaust. He miscalculated. The United States had no use for a man whose 5-month tenure produced 147 trains to Auschwitz. They shipped him back to Budapest. The People's Tribunal had no interest in Cold War politics. They had testimony. They had documents. They had numbers. August 22, 1946. Courtyard of the Academy of Music. Rifles, smoke, silence. Döme Sztójay, born Dmitry Stoyakovich in 1883, dies on Hungarian soil, executed by Hungarian soldiers for crimes committed in Hungarian territory under Hungarian authority with Hungarian collaboration. The 5-month window he controlled is studied in Holocaust historiography as a case study in speed. Scholars note the unprecedented rate, 7,000 per day. They note the bureaucratic efficiency. Hungarian gendarmes, not German SS, conducted most rural roundups. They note the collaboration. Hungarian railways provided the trains. Hungarian officials compiled the lists. Hungarian authorities enforced the ghetto restrictions. Eichmann coordinated, but Hungary executed. Bela Imreti, Prime Minister from 1938 to 1939, shot on February 28th. Laszlo Bardosi, Prime Minister from 1941 to 1942, shot on January 10th. Andor Jaros, Sztójay's Interior Minister, shot on April 11th. Laszlo Endre and Laszlo Baki, Interior Ministry State Secretaries who organized deportations, shot on March 29th. The Budapest People's Tribunal works through the list methodically. No rushed trials, public sessions, evidence presented, verdicts delivered, sentences carried out. By October 1946, 25 senior officials are dead. The tribunal's work for major war criminals is largely complete. Lower-level cases continue into 1948. Then, the tribunal system is absorbed into the regular courts as Hungary's political situation shifts under Soviet influence. Did he have power to resist or slow the process? Debatable. Did he use whatever power he had to save lives? No. Did he sign the decrees? Yes. Did trains roll under his authority? Yes. Did 430,000 people board those trains? Yes. Did 325,000 die in gas chambers? Yes. Hearing the order, then nothing. The Academy of Music courtyard returns to silence. Soldiers remove the bodies. The space is cleaned. Life in Budapest continues. The city rebuilds. The Danube still flows past the parliament. The bridges are reconstructed. The Jewish quarter, decimated, begins to recover. The great synagogue on Dohany Street stands. Tens of thousands gone. Survivors return, find empty apartments, missing families, changed streets. Every government building a site of collaboration or resistance. The Academy of Music, where they shot Sztójay, continues as a cultural institution. No plaque marks the executions. Hungary's relationship with this history remains complicated. Memorials exist. The shoes on the Danube bank, installed in 2005, commemorate those shot into the river. The Holocaust Memorial Center opens in 2004. But conversations about collaboration, about Hungarian responsibility, about how fast it happened and who enabled it, those conversations remain difficult. In photographs at the Holocaust Memorial Museum, in survivor testimonies at Yad Vashem, in scholarly works analyzing the speed of the Hungarian Holocaust, and the question that sits at the center: how do you kill 400,000 people in 56 days? You need bureaucrats to compile lists. You need local police to enforce roundups. You need a government to authorize it. You need someone to sign the papers. Eichmann brought the system. Sztójay provided the signature. The combination was lethal. Hungary lost 568,000 Jews between 1940 and 1945. Not all under Sztójay. Some killed earlier, some killed later. But the core destruction, the 430,000 deported in 56 days, that happened under his watch. That happened with his knowledge. That happened with his authorization. Hungary passed its first major anti-Jewish law in May 1938. The first Jewish law limited Jewish participation in the economy and professions to 20%. Defined Jew by religion, not race. Second Jewish law, May 1939. Reduced the quota to 6%. Expanded definition to include ancestry. Third Jewish law, August 1941. Prohibited marriage between Jews and non-Jews, modeled on Nuremberg laws. By the time Sztójay takes office in March 1944, Hungarian Jews already live under restrictions, already registered, already marked in bureaucratic systems, already pushed to margins. He needed Jewish economic contributions. He feared international backlash. He watched what happened in Poland. He stalled. Prime Minister Miklos Kálay, in office from March 1942 to March 1944, continued this policy. Keep Jews alive, use them in labor battalions. Restrict them, tax them, but do not hand them to Germany for extermination. This policy creates a pressure valve. By 1944, Germany wants Hungary's Jews. Hitler demands it. Ribbentrop pressures. Wiesenmeier reports back to Berlin that Horthy is unreliable. The occupation in March solves the problem. Remove Kálay, install Sztójay. The machinery can now operate. Men who ran operations in Poland, Slovakia, France, they know the procedure, they know the timeline, they know the quotas, but they need local cooperation. German forces cannot round up 800,000 people across a country they just occupied without local help. They need Hungarian police, Hungarian gendarmes, Hungarian civil servants, Hungarian trains, Hungarian bureaucracy. Sztójay provides all of it. Towns with smaller Jewish populations, places without international observers, places where deportations can happen quietly. The regions are numbered. Zone 1 includes Carpathian Ruthenia and northern Transylvania. These areas were annexed from Czechoslovakia and Romania after territorial revisions in 1938 and 1940. The Jewish populations there are dense, traditional communities, Yiddish-speaking, religious, economically integrated but culturally distinct, easy targets. April 1944. Hungarian gendarmes arrive in Zone 1 towns, knock on doors, give families hours to pack, 15 kilograms per person. No valuables, no money beyond a small amount. Everything else confiscated. Families are marched to collection points, brick factories, warehouses. Fairgrounds, spaces that can hold thousands. No sanitation, little food, crowding, disease, fear. They wait, days, weeks, while Hungarian officials compile deportation lists. The Hungarian bureaucracy, efficient and thorough, produces records. These records survive. They sit in archives today. The European Holocaust Research Infrastructure database catalogs thousands of documents from the Budapest People's Court investigations, case files, witness testimonies, deportation orders, property confiscation records. The paper trail runs deep. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum Research Center publications, specifically Dr. Piotr Setkevich's The Apex of Crime study, published in 2024 for the 80th anniversary of the Hungarian deportations, and from the trial documents archived in the EHRI selected records of Budapest People's Court, BFL_NB_10_RJ, Reels 1. 12 through 216 covering 1946 war crimes trials, and from Raoul Hilberg's definitive 3-volume work, The Destruction of the European Jews, Holmes and Meyer, 3rd edition, 2003. Now back to the information. The deportations begin. The first train leaves from Carpathian Ruthenia. Destination entered in German railway documents as Auschwitz-Birkenau. The journey takes 3 to 4 days, depending on route and delays. Cattle cars, no water, no facilities, packed beyond capacity. 100 people per car, 48 to 50 cars per train. Do the math. 4,800 to 5,000 people per train. Sealed doors, small windows, heat. By the time trains arrive at Auschwitz, people are dead inside the cars. Dehydration, suffocation, heart attacks. The elderly, the very young, bodies are unloaded with the living, perhaps for propaganda showing orderly processing. The photos show families on the ramp, women holding children, elderly men with canes, people carry bundles. They look confused, exhausted. They have just traveled days in cattle cars. They are told to leave luggage, form lines. Men separate from women and children. SS doctors conduct selections. Point left, point right. Left means forced labor, temporary survival. Right means gas chambers, immediate death. Out of 5,000 arrivals, 4,000 are sent directly to the gas chambers. The gas chambers at Birkenau, chambers 2 and 3, operate continuously. Zyklon B pellets dropped through ceiling vents, doors sealed. 15 to 20 minutes, death. Then Sonderkommando prisoners, themselves Jewish and condemned to die eventually, clear the bodies, search for gold teeth, cut hair, drag corpses to crematoria. But the crematoria cannot handle the volume. They overheat, they break down, so they dig pits, enormous trenches. Bodies burned in open air with gasoline and wood. The smoke is visible for miles. The smell is unbearable. Survivors who work in the Sonderkommando testify later about the scale, about the numbers, about the children. Unlike deportations from other countries where men were taken first, Hungarian transports include entire families, grandparents, parents, children, babies. The selections separate them. Mothers with young children go to gas chambers together because children cannot work. The SS does not waste resources feeding people who cannot labor, elderly men, pregnant women, the sick, all immediate selections for death. Young healthy men and women who pass selection get tattooed, registered, given prisoner uniforms, assigned to barracks. They work, some in factories, some in construction, some in the camp's internal operations. They survive weeks, months if lucky. Disease, starvation, exhaustion. The labor is designed to kill slowly. Sometimes 3, sometimes 5. Hungarian railways coordinate with German transportation officers. Routes avoid military movements, avoid Allied bombing targets when possible. Trains have priority because Eichmann has orders from Himmler. The operation must complete before Hungary can change its mind, before Horthy can stop it, before the Allies invade the Balkans. Speed is essential. Then southern regions. Each zone takes 1 to 2 weeks to clear completely. The ghettos fill, the trains roll, the camps receive. Auschwitz-Birkenau processes them. By late May, the camp administration realizes the infrastructure cannot keep pace. Rudolf Höss travels to Budapest to meet with Hungarian and German officials. He asks them to slow the transports, send 2 or 3 trains per day instead of 4, alternate days. Give the cremation teams time to clear the backlog. The request is partially accommodated, but the trains keep coming. Survivors from Hungarian transports describe the process. Arrive at night, ramp illuminated by floodlights. Dogs, shouts in German, chaos, families torn apart. Elderly people beaten if they move too slowly, children crying, people asking questions. No answers, just shouts, just commands. Move. Faster. Line up. March. Some survivors remember the smell first. Burning flesh, sweet and nauseating. They do not understand it until later, until they see the chimneys, until they learn what happens to the people who go right. Miklos Niszli, a Hungarian Jewish physician, arrives at Auschwitz on May 29, 1944. He is selected for labor because he is a doctor. He is assigned to work for Josef Mengele in the medical experimentation barracks. Niszli survives. He writes a memoir, Auschwitz, a doctor's eyewitness account, published in 1946. He describes Mengele's twin experiments, describes the gas chamber operations, describes the Sonderkommando, describes the bodies, describes the industrial nature of the killing. His testimony, controversial but corroborated by other evidence, provides detail about the Hungarian period at Auschwitz, about how the camp stretched its capacity, about how the SS improvised to handle the volume. Meets with Wiesenmeier, receives reports from the Interior Ministry about deportation progress. The paperwork is clinical, numbers, regions cleared, trains dispatched, property confiscated and transferred to the state. Jewish apartments in Budapest are marked, designated as yellow star houses. Jews are forced to move into these buildings, concentrated, easier to control, easier to deport when the time comes. The Budapest deportations are planned for mid-July, after the countryside is cleared, 190,000 Jews in the capital. But Horthy, watching the international pressure build, starts to resist. Raoul Wallenberg, Swedish diplomat, arrives in Budapest in July with orders to save as many Jews as possible. He issues protective passports, claims Jews are under Swedish protection, creates safe houses. The Swiss do the same, the Spanish, the Portuguese. International rescue operations begin because the scale of the crime is now undeniable. The Eastern Front is crumbling. Operation Bagration, Soviet summer offensive, starts June 23rd. The front moves west rapidly. The war is lost. Horthy knows this. Continuing deportations now serves no purpose except to ensure Hungary's total pariah status after the war. He decides to act. July 7th, 1944. Horthy orders deportations to stop. He goes over Sztójay's head. Direct order. No more trains. Eichmann is furious. He tries to keep the operation going. 2 more trains leave on July 8th, 1 on July 9th. Then it stops. The Budapest Jews, 190,000 people, are spared. For now, they remain in yellow star houses, subject to curfews, subject to violence from Hungarian fascists, but not deported, not sent to Auschwitz. This distinction saves roughly half of Budapest's Jewish population. Sztójay's position becomes untenable. He cannot continue the deportations without Horthy's support. The Germans are frustrated with him. He is not pushing hard enough. The Hungarians see him as a German puppet. He resigns on August 24th. His health is failing. He is exhausted. Géza Lakatos takes over. Lakatos tries to navigate between German pressure and Hungarian interests. He does not restart deportations. He tries to stabilize, But October comes. Horthy attempts to declare an armistice. Operation Panzerfaust. Germans seize control. Arrow-Cross takes power. October 15 to December 1944. Arrow-Cross rule. Ferenc Szalasi as leader. Deportations do not resume to Auschwitz because the railway routes are cut by advancing Soviet forces. But the killing continues in Budapest. Arrow-Cross militias march Jews to the Danube. Shoot them at the riverbank. Bodies fall into the water. 80,000 killed this way. Others marched on forced death marches toward Austria. Thousands die on the roads. Cold, starvation, execution if they fall. Raoul Wallenberg and other diplomats work frantically, saving individuals, hiding families, forging papers. By January 1945, Soviet forces encircle Budapest. The siege begins. It lasts 7 weeks. Brutal urban combat. When Soviet forces finally capture the city on February 13, 1945, 120,000 Jews remain alive in Budapest, half the pre-war number, decimated but not exterminated. The Reich is collapsing. American and Soviet forces close in from both sides. Sztójay finds American soldiers, surrenders, calculates that cooperation with the West offers better odds than falling into Soviet hands. He is detained, held in custody. The Americans interrogate him. He tells them about the occupation, about German pressure, about Horthy's constraints. He frames himself as a reluctant participant, a soldier following orders, a man trapped between German demands and Hungarian limitations. The Americans are unimpressed. They have evidence. They have witness testimonies from survivors. They have documents. They decide he has no intelligence value. In October 1945, they extradite him to Hungary. The People's Tribunals are established to prosecute war criminals. The tribunals follow legal procedure: judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, public trials. The legitimacy is debated later, especially as Hungary falls fully under communist control. But in 1946, the trials are genuine attempts at accountability. They process major figures systematically, collect evidence, hear witnesses, deliver verdicts. High blood pressure. The conditions in detention are harsh: cold, poor food, overcrowding. He shares space with other detained officials, former ministers, former Arrow-Cross members, former gendarme officers. Some talk, some stay silent, some try to build defense strategies. Sztójay prepares his case. He knows the charges: war crimes, crimes against the Hungarian people, collaboration with the enemy, high treason. If he had not taken the position, someone worse would have. He tried to mitigate the damage. He tried to slow the deportations. He tried to save lives where possible. The evidence contradicts all of this. The prosecution has documents, decrees signed by Sztójay. Meeting notes from his sessions with Wiesenmeier, reports he sent to Berlin, testimonies from Hungarian officials who worked under him, testimonies from survivors who witnessed the ghettoizations. The paper trail is overwhelming. The courtroom is packed. International observers attend, journalists, survivors. The 5 defendants sit together. Sztójay, Antal Kunder, who served as a government official under multiple wartime cabinets, Jeno Ratz, a high-ranking bureaucrat, Lajos Reményi Schneller, the finance minister who served from 1938 through 1945 and facilitated economic collaboration with Germany, and Lajos Zas, the industry minister who helped transfer the Manfred Weiss steelworks to SS control. All 5 men are connected to the occupation government. All 5 enabled the deportations through their positions. Survivors describe the roundups, describe the ghettos, describe being loaded onto trains, describe the journey. Some survivors returned from Auschwitz. They testify about selections, about gas chambers, about crematoria. They identify Sztójay as the prime minister who authorized the operation. Documents are entered into evidence: the Yellow Star Decree, the ghettoization orders, railway coordination papers, property confiscation lists, meeting minutes between Sztójay and German officials. The prosecution argues that Sztójay was not a powerless puppet. He had authority. He used it to facilitate genocide. He could have resigned. He could have resisted. He chose cooperation. How could Sztójay? The defense calls witnesses who testify that Sztójay tried to slow the deportations, that he argued with Wiesenmeier, that he tried to protect certain individuals. The evidence is thin. The prosecution counters with the numbers: 430,000 people, 56 days. That does not happen without active cooperation, without Hungarian gendarmes, without Hungarian trains, without Hungarian bureaucracy. Sztójay authorized all of it. The judges deliberate briefly. The evidence is clear. The law is clear. All 5 defendants are found guilty. War crimes, crimes against the Hungarian people, high treason. The sentence for all 5 is death by firing squad. The courtroom reacts. Some applause, some silence. The defendants show little emotion. Sztójay stares ahead. He is taken back to his cell to await execution. The National Council of People's Tribunals reviews cases but rarely overturns sentences in major war crimes trials. Sztójay's case is not exceptional. The execution is scheduled. The other defendants have their execution dates set. The process moves quickly. The government wants to demonstrate that collaboration has consequences, that Hungary is prosecuting its own war criminals, that the new Hungary rejects the fascist past. To write letters if they allow him, to see visitors if they allow him, to prepare for death. Some accounts suggest he remains defiant, insists he was a patriot, insists he tried to save Hungary from worse outcomes. Other accounts suggest he accepts his fate quietly. The records are sparse. What is documented is the execution date, August 22nd, 1946. Why the Academy of Music? Practical reasons. Centrally located, secure. The building is under government control. The courtyard provides the necessary space. Firing squad executions require a wall, room for the squad to stand, room for witnesses. The courtyard has all of this. August 22, early morning. The exact time is not specified in surviving records, but firing squad executions typically happen at dawn, 6 or 7 in the morning. Sztójay is taken from his cell. He's allowed to wash, to dress. He wears a suit, dark, clean, a last dignity. Some accounts mention a priest, last rites. Some condemned men refuse, some accept. Sztójay's choice is not recorded. Hungarian soldiers, 8 to 12 men typically, armed with rifles. They stand at attention. An officer commands them. A medical officer is present to confirm death. Witnesses are present, government officials, military officers, perhaps journalists, though accounts are unclear. The condemned man is positioned against the wall. Some executions use a post, some use chairs, some have the condemned standing. Photographs from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum collection show Sztójay standing, soldiers nearby. His expression is blank, tired, resigned. The procedure follows military protocol. The officer reads the sentence: war crimes, crimes against the Hungarian people, sentenced to death by firing squad, judgment of the People's Tribunal, confirmed by the National Council, approved for execution. The reading takes less than a minute. Sztójay is asked if he has final words. Records do not indicate that he speaks. Some men give final statements, proclamations of innocence, declarations of loyalty, curses at the tribunal. Sztójay is silent, or his words are not recorded, or he has nothing left to say. The firing squad raises rifles, aims. The distance is short, 10 to 15 meters, close enough for accuracy, far enough for safety. The soldiers aim for the chest, heart, and lungs. Quick death. The command to fire is given, multiple shots, simultaneous. The sound echoes off the courtyard walls. Loud, final. Sztójay falls. The soldiers lower their rifles. The medical officer approaches, checks for vital signs, pulse, breathing. In firing squad executions, if the condemned still lives, a single shot to the head finishes it, the coup de grace. Records do not indicate this was necessary for Sztójay. The soldiers are trained. The shots are effective. He dies within seconds. The location of Sztójay's grave is not widely recorded. Some executed war criminals are buried in unmarked plots, some in cemeteries with minimal markers. Some families are eventually allowed to claim bodies for reburial. Whether Sztójay's family did this is unclear. Records from 1946. Hungary are incomplete. The chaos of post-war transition, the Soviet occupation, the communist takeover, all create gaps in documentation. Antal Kunder's execution date is documented as within days of the verdict. Jeno Ratz, likewise. Lajos Sas, likewise. All 5 men from the trial are dead by the end of August. The Budapest People's Tribunal moves to its next case. The work continues through October 1946. 25 senior officials executed in total that year. Then the tribunal system shifts. Political trials increase. Show trials. The Communist Party consolidates power. The People's Tribunals become tools of political repression. But in early 1946, before that shift fully takes hold, the trials of war criminals maintain some legitimacy. Observers note that evidence is presented. Witnesses testify. Procedures are followed. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum holds images in the Herbert C. Kaplan collection. Kaplan, an American serviceman, was in Budapest in 1946. He documented war crimes, trials, and executions. His photographs provide visual evidence of the executions. They are difficult images. A man about to die, soldiers with rifles, the bureaucracy of execution. The images are used in historical exhibitions, in Holocaust education, in documentation of post-war justice. They are evidence that accountability happened, that Hungary prosecuted its collaborators, that the architects of the Hungarian Holocaust faced consequences, that societies needed to demonstrate rejection of fascism, that victims needed to see perpetrators punished. Others argue that trials were flawed, that justice was incomplete, that many perpetrators escaped, that the punishments were inconsistent, that political considerations influenced outcomes. In Sztójay's case, the execution is straightforward. He held the highest office during the deportations. He signed the decrees. He met with the Germans. He facilitated the trains. The evidence is clear. The guilt is established. The sentence is carried out. But the larger question remains. Does executing Döme Sztójay bring back 430,000 people? Does it undo the gas chambers? Does it heal the survivors? No. It does none of those things. What it does is mark a line. It says this was unacceptable. It says collaboration has consequences. It says Hungary, or at least the Hungary of 1946, rejects what happened in 1944. Could argue his case in memoirs or interviews. Dead, he is just a historical fact. A name in archives, a photograph in a museum, a case study in collaboration and accountability. He becomes a reference in Holocaust studies, a footnote in histories of Hungary, a name on lists of executed war criminals. His 5 months as prime minister define his entire legacy. Everything before leads to it. Everything after is consequence. He is remembered for one thing: enabling the deportation of 430,000 people in 56 days. The war's outcome is no longer in doubt. Yet the deportations happen anyway. Resources are diverted. Trains are used. Guards are assigned. All for extermination. All when Germany desperately needs those resources for defense. The decision to prioritize the Hungarian operation tells you something about Nazi ideology, about the importance placed on the final solution, about the commitment to genocide even as the regime collapses. That was the SS and Hungarian gendarmes. He was not the ultimate authority. That was Hitler and Himmler, but he was the signature. He was the authorization. He was the face of Hungarian government cooperation. Without him, without someone like him, the operation does not proceed smoothly. It faces bureaucratic obstacles. It faces delays. It faces potential sabotage from within Hungarian government. Sztójay removes those obstacles. He signs the papers. He coordinates with Wesenmeyer. He ensures Hungarian compliance. For this, Hungary shoots him in a courtyard at dawn on August 22, 1946. For this, his name appears in Holocaust memorials as a perpetrator. For this, he is studied in university courses on genocide. For this, his trial transcripts are archived in research databases. For this, he is remembered not as a general, not as an ambassador, not as a diplomat, but as the man who sat in the prime minister's office while 430,000 people went to Auschwitz. No speeches, no grand moments, just bureaucratic execution. The same bureaucratic efficiency that characterized the deportations, the same filling out of forms, the same following of procedures, the same reduction of human lives to administrative tasks. Sztójay authorized trains. The tribunal authorizes his execution. Both are paperwork, both are signatures, both are the machinery of state violence. But the methodology is similar. Organize, authorize, execute. The state apparatus operates the same way whether it is killing innocent people or killing guilty people. This is uncomfortable to acknowledge. But it is true. The People's Tribunal that sentences Sztójay uses state power to kill. The Sztójay government that deported Hungarian Jews used state power to kill. The difference is the targets. The difference is the justification. The difference is the legal framework, but the mechanism is the same. Döme Sztójay, born Dmitry Stoyakovich, 63 years old, former Prime Minister of Hungary, war criminal, collaborator, is dead. His body is removed from the courtyard. The space is cleaned. The Academy of Music continues its function. Music resumes, culture resumes, life resumes. Budapest rebuilds. Hungary moves forward. The past is archived. The trials conclude. The executions end. The tribunals dissolve. The communist era begins. New horrors, new oppressions, new victims. History does not stop. It accumulates. They find trial transcripts. They find photographs. They find deportation records. They find property confiscation lists. They find testimonies. They compile studies. They write books. They create databases. They teach courses. They build museums. They install memorials. They ensure that the Hungarian Holocaust is documented, that the speed is noted, that the numbers are recorded, that the names are remembered, both the victims and the perpetrators. His execution is also a historical fact, documented in trial records, documented in photographs, documented in witness accounts. The courtyard at the Academy of Music is historical fact. The firing squad is historical fact. The date, August 22, 1946, is historical fact. The death is historical fact. The survivors who testified at Sztójay's trial wanted him punished, wanted him to face consequences, wanted him to die for what he enabled. That is human, that is understandable, that is justice as defined by victims. But it does not bring back the dead. It does not undo the trauma. It does not restore the communities. It marks an ending. It closes a chapter. It says he paid. but what he paid can never equal what was taken. Communities erased, culture destroyed, Yiddish voices silenced, synagogues emptied, shops closed, homes taken, lives ended, all in 56 days, all under Sztójay's authorization, all with his signature. One death for 430,000. The mathematics do not balance. They never balance. They cannot balance. Justice in genocide is impossible. What is possible is accountability. What is possible is documentation. What is possible is saying clearly, this happened, this man enabled it, this man paid for it. That is what the People's Tribunal does. That is what the execution does. It says Hungary holds him accountable. Whether that accountability means anything to the survivors, to the families, to the ghosts, is individual. Some find meaning in it, some do not. Some want more perpetrators executed. Some want all of Hungarian society held accountable. Some want the bystanders punished. Some want the police who rounded people up executed. Some want the train engineers executed. Some want the bureaucrats who compiled lists executed. Where does accountability end? The People's Tribunal draws a line. High officials, direct enablers, those with authority and knowledge. 25 executions, then it stops, then it becomes about rebuilding, then it becomes about moving forward. He becomes a case study, he becomes a warning, he becomes evidence that collaboration has consequences. He becomes a name in a database, he becomes a photograph in an archive. He becomes this script. Döme Sztójay enabled the deportation of 430,000 Hungarian Jews in 1944. He signed the decrees, he authorized the trains. He met with Eichmann and Wiesenmeier, he provided the bureaucratic machinery. For this, Hungary tried him. For this, Hungary convicted him. For this, Hungary executed him by firing squad in the courtyard of the Academy of Music in Budapest on August 22, 1946. He was 63 years old. He had been prime minister for 5 months. He died at dawn. Soldiers fired. He fell. He was buried. He was forgotten by everyone except historians and survivors and the families of the 430,000.